Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Active Podcast. Things are a bit different here today because, as you can tell, no video, and also there's only two of us here. Jacob and Ewan have been forced to abandon this week's podcast because of various scheduling conflicts. So I am the only one available because I don't really have a life. And I'm joined by Tom, who also doesn't have a life. Tom, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Like I said, like you said, even, I'm free to step in. No life. It's perfect, isn't it? They're probably out doing something.
It is perfect.
Me and you stuck inside. Let's make a video.
Yeah. Let's do it. So, what we're doing today is, of course, the Euros. They're starting this weekend.
Ooh.
And we're going to predict what is going to happen.
Yeah.
And we're going to get it perfect because, you know, we're geniuses.
You say that. I think it's always impossible to predict. But obviously,
yeah,
you know better than me. You're the more intellectual about football. I just think Italy's better than Turkey, so I go with Turkey. No, other way around.
Spoilers.
We're going to ruin it.
All right.
This is terrible. But let's go.
Yeah, this is going to go badly wrong.
Yeah.
Let's get straight into it.
Go on.
Let's begin with Group A.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, featuring Italy, Turkey, Wales, and Switzerland.
Yeah.
Who's topping this group, Tom?
I think Italy's topping it. I think Italy are a very good team, to be fair. I feel like they've got a good manager.
Yeah.
I bet you put that as well, surely. It is first.
Yeah, Italy top of the group.
And then
they're one of my favourite teams at this tournament, actually. They've got Mancini in charge.
Good
who I think is maybe the best manager at the tournament.
Yeah, arguably.
And you got a good squad throughout. Great midfield.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do back Italy to do well in this tournament, surprising people. But another team that could surprise some people is Turkey.
Yeah. I would say
they're kind of
Turkey second as well.
They kind of seem like everyone's like one of everyone's dark horses. They're kind of everyone's starting to realise that Turkey are kind of a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
They have a good defence. You know, you got Soyuncu, you got Demiral, Juventus,
Zeki Çelik,
Ozan Kabak, Zeki Çelik.
I realise Çelik.
Lille, Burak Yilmaz, the legend.
Çalhanoğlu.
Hakan Çalhanoğlu from AC Milan. And yeah.
Their team is very good. I would like to see... I'm not sure who's their striker. It would be that Everton guy, wouldn't it? What's his name? I forgot now.
Cenk Tosun.
Yeah, Cenk Tosun. So maybe they won't get as many goals as... But their defence is very good. I think
it's a really good defence.
Very good defence. And then, for third, I would go with Wales.
Yeah.
I think it's weird with Wales because even though obviously they're not a home nation, well, they are a home nation, everyone's a home nation, but because England and Scotland are playing their games here, you would think Wales would, but they're not. They play, I think, didn't they travel to Baku yesterday or something?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I thought that they were going to be at home, and I thought they could maybe get the second, because I think the home advantage could be massive. But
yeah,
I think they can get over Switzerland. I think Switzerland.
So do I.
Yeah.
Switzerland just don't stand out to me at all.
No.
Like, they've got some okay players, you know, Xhaka, Zakaria, Shaqiri, but it's just, you know, it's not a particularly inspiring squad. I think another thing to mention, you did mention, of course, the home advantage, and a lot of teams are going to benefit from that.
Yeah.
Over the course of the tournament, England, Scotland, majorly. But another team that is worth mentioning that will have that is Turkey. It's another advantage that they will have because they're going to be playing a lot of their games in Baku, as you said, in Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
And for Turkey, that's basically a home game. It's right across the border. They have a really great relationship with Azeri people. So that's a strong place for them to be playing their games.
So they could maybe slightly get first, but I think Italy are just too good. Their team is
it's definitely possible though. Like, definitely keep an eye on Turkey. Right, Group B. We've got Belgium, Denmark, Russia, Finland.
First is obvious.
Yeah, I would say this is probably the easiest group to predict. I can't really see it going any other way than what I imagine we've both put. Belgium, top of the group. They're the first ranked team in the world right now.
Yep.
And although I'm not sure it's entirely accurate, they are certainly a very good team.
Yeah.
And then you got Denmark.
Yeah, obviously.
They've certainly got some good players coming into this tournament in pretty good form. And I mean, Russia are coming off the back of a strong World Cup, of course.
But I think that's just because they were home.
Yeah, exactly. They were really powered by the passion of the fans.
Their players since haven't gone on to do very well, I believe. I think Golovin, the hype he had when he moved to Monaco, he hasn't lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
And then there was that guy that played for Villarreal. The guy that scored.
Cheryshev.
Yeah, he looked good.
He had because he's been around for so long, Cheryshev, and he's been playing in Spain for years. Played for Valencia, played for Real Madrid, I think, and just was never particularly impressive at anywhere. And then he just absolutely went off in that tournament. He scored like 5 goals, I think. So a couple of them were absolute screamers as well.
So I'll put them third, I think.
Yeah,
and then
I would agree with that.
Finland last, because the only 2 Finnish players I know, they're not Finnish, they're only 28. He's Glenn Kamara and Teemu Pukki.
Yeah,
they're the only 2, and they're all right players, but I can't think of anyone else, so I'll put them last.
In the end of the day, for Finland, just being here is a huge achievement.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is their first major tournament in the history of their country. So just be happy to be here in Finland. You're probably going to get battered by Belgium, but oh well. Group C. Now this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think this is one of my favourite groups. I'm going to be keeping an eye on it.
Looking at it,
somewhere
you would think it's like top 3 heavy. So you'd think North Macedonia way out of it. But if you look at their World Cup qualifying group, and I think it has Germany in it, they're top. They've won every single game. And so they're coming on at the form of their life, North Macedonia, because it's a tiny country. But they beat Germany, didn't they? I think that's when Timo Werner missed a terrible shot. I swear to you.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was the first time they've ever beaten like a top 10 nation or something. It was something mental.
Yeah.
And I don't think Germany in top 10, are they? They probably are. I'm wrong. I don't know.
Probably around about there.
Yeah, something like that. Top 10, top 15, I'm not sure. So it is actually a very close group. I think Holland or Netherlands are going to finish first. I'm going to put them first. I don't know what you're going to put.
Well, this is actually where I've gone for my first real kind of shock of the tournament, because I have a bad feeling about the Netherlands. They're coming into this in pretty bad form. Frank de Boer has been in charge for a few months. He's won 4 out of 10 games, I think.
Yeah.
A couple of really, really bad results to fairly small nations in there as well. And it's just, despite, they've got a great squad, obviously, but Van Dijk's injured. Going to be missing the tournament. And I've got a bad feeling. I don't think they're going to go out of the groups. I think they'll finish second in the group stage. They're good enough for that.
Yeah.
But one of my favourite teams in the tournament, and someone I'm going to be keeping an eye on, is Ukraine. And I think they could be set to shock a few people and maybe top this group, because they've got a talented group of players. Yeah. A lot of youth in there. Players who fair few of them are still playing in Ukraine. Like Viktor Zagankov, for instance.
Very good player.
Not a household name, but he's been tearing up. FM legend, yeah. But yeah, he's been tearing it up in Ukraine for a number of years now. He's put in some really impressive performances in the Europa League as well over the past 2 seasons. He's powered Dynamo Kiev to their first title since, 2015, 2016. He's one player who I would definitely keep an eye on the tournament.
Yeah. And even Zinchenko, who was broke into the Man City squad at the end of the season, even kept Cancelo out of a final. It's he's doing very well coming to this. They have Yarmolenko, who he was doing very well for West Ham before his injury. But he's a very good player. Matrovinko, he's a very good player, centre back. There's loads of them where I think they could finish first, but I'm going to put them second. I think, like you said, the manager for Netherlands isn't very good, but I just think their squad is enough to finish first. Now, they might crumble from that, but I think they'll finish first. And then, even though I was big on North Macedonia before, I still think they will finish last. Even though they would do this. Because Austria is still the team by themselves.
It's the same as Finland.
Yeah.
It's the same as Finland. Like, you know, they're going to be delighted just to be here.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like Panama at the World Cup.
Yeah.
They're just, you know, they scored 1 goal against England despite being 6-0 down, and they celebrated like they won the whole thing. And it's like, fair enough. North Macedonia, maybe they could pull a shock one on Austria or something, but Austria when they played us the other night, they had moments where they were okay, but for the most part it was a pretty drab performance, which, you know, is pretty drab from us as well.
Oh yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of us,
here we go.
On to Group D, and this is a tricky one.
Yeah. Because, like we said at the start, I think home advantage is going to come massive into this. Especially for England. That's why, controversial, I'm going to put England first. I think on paper we have the best team. I don't want to jinx or anything. But I think on paper we have the best team. And with home advantage, I think that just boosts us up. Because we're playing every single group stage at Wembley. Group stage match. So, I mean, like, that's a massive bonus. Because I can't see there being many away fans, let alone any, that they're going to let in. So I think I'm putting England first, and then because of the home advantage again, I think Scotland will finish second. They haven't been.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
They haven't been a national tournament for about 20 years now. Was it 96 the last time they were in it?
Yeah.
And then I don't think they did very well. But this year, playing, I think, every game except the England one at Hampden Park, it's going to be massive. The Scotland fans are going to be behind them for the whole game.
Yeah.
They brought in some good players this season. Obviously, they brought in Che Adams, who was doing quite well for Southampton. Did all right at the start of the season, maybe tied off at the end, but still did very well.
Yeah.
They have
Southampton as a whole really had a shocking second half of the season. But Che Adams is a player that I quite like.
Is it that Lyndon Dykes for QPR who's had
he joined? I think he joined them in January, didn't he? And he's done really well for them.
Because he was born in Australia, but he decided to pick Scotland, which I thought was a weird one. But obviously, it worked out in the end. But he's done very well for Scotland, and I wish they'd have taken Alan McGregor. It would have been perfect. Because he was best keeper in the Scottish, probably one of the best keepers in like the UK at the moment. How some of the saves he made in the Europa League was like, saying he's 39. Obviously, he's retired from international football now, so he's probably doing something with his kids or whatever. But I think if they would have been able to get him in to the squad, it would have been perfect. But no, I think they'll finish second. Meaning, I believe Croatia will finish third. I think since the World Cup run, they did really well. Their team has only just got older. They haven't. Yeah. And unless I'm wrong, I can't think of any good youngsters coming through. No.
The only one who comes to mind is another kind of FM legend, Josko Gvardiol.
Oh yeah.
The RB Leipzig centre back. But I don't think he's a starter for them yet. I can't see him really having a massive impact on the tournament. He's a super exciting youngster, and he is in the squad. But to be fair, I don't really know how they line up at centre back. Is it still Domagoj Vida and Dejan Lovren? Doesn't fill me with massive confidence.
They've just got older and older.
Exactly. And like Modric is 35, Rakitic is around a similar age. Yeah. Mandzukic has disappeared off the face of the earth.
I'd like to see what Orsic does. Orsic, I rated Orsic for a while. Orsic. He can cut in on his right foot, and he's like he showed against Tottenham where he cuts in onto his right foot and he has a powerful shot. Very good at free kicks, dead balls. I think he'll be a good player. But I didn't realise he's not young either. He's like 28, isn't he?
No, he's like 28. Yeah.
It feels like he's just come on the scene all of a sudden. It's a bit, but I think he'll have a good Euros. But I think that's about it for Croatia. It seems like their golden generation is gone.
Yeah, 100%. The only player who I can think of off the top of my head who's like a top class performer in their prime is Mateo Kovacic, and at the end of the day, he's not going to be able to do everything by himself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Perisic as well. He's getting on. It's just creaky. That's the word that comes to me with this Croatia team. It's just like,
they've just lost it.
Their time has passed,
Yeah.
and they had an amazing World Cup, and now it might be a few years before we see another great Croatia team. But they'll still be good enough to get third in the group. Czech Republic, they're just not very good.
Yeah.
So
Thomas Suchek with a header. That's about it. Gouffal's alright as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
just the West Ham boys linking up. And so Group E is next on the list. I don't think this one's too tough to predict.
No.
I've got it. Obviously, it's Slovakia, Sweden, Poland, and Spain in this one.
Yeah.
And I think we can definitely agree Spain are going to top this.
Yeah, easily,
pretty comfortably. They have a good squad, to be fair to them, Spain. I think people are kind of overlooking them a little bit. Although I think maybe this almost seems like a kind of an experimental tournament for them.
Yeah.
The way Luis Enrique picked the squad is a bit weird, leaving out Sergio Ramos, no Real Madrid players for the first time ever at a major tournament. They got a lot of youngsters, the likes of Dani Olmo, and I think maybe
just
come in a year's time, 2022 Qatar World Cup, there could be some real excitement about the Spain team.
I feel like,
but they've got a lot of strength now.
Yeah, bringing in Laporte is brilliant for him.
That's a
Very
big
good
win
for him.
Yeah,
I think
he'll probably start alongside Pau Torres at centre back, won't he? And that's a pretty strong partnership.
No sense why France didn't just give him a call up, give him one match, keep him tied in. Why wouldn't they? He's even though he's not starting for Man City at the moment, which I think that's a disgrace. He should leave if he's not going to be starting. I think that's because he's 24, isn't he? 25 maybe, 26. So he's not young, but he's like going to be there for like the next 5 or 6 years. He's going to be constant, and so that's what's going to be problem with centre backs for Spain. Once Sergio Ramos has gone, once Piqué's obviously gone now, who's going to fit it in? And how they brought him in from France, I think that's brilliant. But then I think the other options are a bit weird because even though I love him, Adama Traoré, I can't see him working with the rest of the squad because he's a guy that needs the ball 100% of the time. And with Wolves, he's like, when he's on the pitch, he's the best player. But if he isn't going to be the best player and he needs to play more off-ball work, which he's terrible at, will he be able to do as well? Because he doesn't make any runs in behind, does he? Which I find makes no sense.
Yeah.
He doesn't track back. If he gets on the ground, he'll start moaning, just sit on the ground for a bit. Which it's all right for Wolves because he can just run past everyone. Just give him to the next time, it's all right. But I just feel like. But then saying who else do you call up? There was Iago Aspas.
I guess you got Marco Asensio.
Yeah.
But other than that, they haven't got too many options out wide. And it's really in attack in general that I think that's where their main struggles are. Their midfield is pretty excellent, as it always is with Spain. But they got Alvaro Morata as probably their starting striker. I mean, not amazing. Gerard Moreno's coming off a good season with Villarreal. I don't know. I don't really know where he's going to play. He could play on the wing. He could play up front.
Yeah.
I think give them a year and this is going to be a really good squad. Might not quite be their time just yet.
I still think they're top of the group though. Look at the other teams. They're easy top of the group.
Yeah.
And then
100%.
The second, I'm going to say Poland. I think having the best player in the world at the moment as your striker, he's going to score you loads of goals. And then I can't think. Szczesny in goal, very top class keeper.
Szczesny.
It's just. I think they're better than Sweden, better than Slovakia. I think that's all it is. They're like the best out of a bad bunch, really. compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sweden, with Zlatan gone, well, he's not gone, he's injured for a bit, isn't he? And he's like 39. Was he called up, Zlatan?
I think he came out of international retirement
Yeah.
for this tournament, and then got injured.
Yeah.
Pretty unfortunate timing.
So
But yeah, Sweden they've got pretty much got Alexander Isak, and that's the only guy I can really think of from their team. I'm sure they've got a few good players scattered in there, but it's not hugely
who's
inspiring.
the youngster for Juventus?
Kulusevski. Yeah.
He'll be good, but like I think their time frame is a lot younger. So like maybe like next year they might be a bit better. With like Jonathan Isaac already coming through. So or maybe even like in 3 years. Yeah, but like 3 years in time, like the next Euros, because they might not make the World Cup next year. But I think for the Euros they'll definitely be better. But I think this year I'll put them third. I think I'll put Sweden third.
Yeah.
And then with Slovakia, well, we were talking about it earlier, and we keep getting mixed up between Slovenia and Serbia. Is it Joe Rodak that plays for Slovakia? Or was that Serbia? I'm just off my top of my head, I can't.
What's the point of even trying?
Yeah,
I think Marek Hamzik is Slovakia,
Hamzik, yeah,
and he is, maybe once he could have pulled off some magic and pulled them up the group a little bit, but not anymore. I don't think anyone's really going to see anything from Slovakia in this tournament.
No, I think they're
so.
Group F.
I guess now we move on to where all eyes are going to be in the group stage.
Now,
Portugal, France, Germany, and the biggest of all, Hungary.
I think I'm going to put Hungary first. I think Szoboszlai is going to carry them to victory. He's a class player, and I think that's move on. No, they last. I feel so sorry for him. It was when they drew the people out the hat, and their guy started laughing when he was picking his group. He was brilliant. I feel so sorry for him. But I mean, I don't know many Hungary players. It's Szoboszlai, obviously.
It's pretty much it.
Let's move on. Let's go. Who can pick first?
So for me, obviously, I think we can agree it's between Portugal and France for the top spot. Germany, not quite on their level. So Germany is going to be in third. But Portugal and France for 1 and 2. It's such a difficult decision to make. And I'm gonna go for Portugal. I'm gonna plump for Portugal. I think
Portugal first.
I think their play style is a little more suited.
Yeah.
Just the tournament football in general. I think I could just see them like soaking up pressure from France. France have a really fast team.
Yeah.
A really, team that's dangerous on the counter attack. And Portugal are not going to let that happen. We're going to see Pepe, Ruben Diaz just soaking up pressure. And then on the counter attack, Ronaldo, Jota. Shame we won't be seeing Pedro Neto there, but they've got plenty of attacking options. And I think they could just about edge it.
Well, so, I'm going to put France first and Portugal second. Now, I think for most people, France would be the favourites because they just won the World Cup. Obviously, they're not ranked first, obviously Belgium are, but I don't think they should be first. But let's go with France. I think watching Portugal against Spain recently, they were terrible. They are the Burnley of international football. And I feel how they just play so defensively and just... I think they had like 31% possession against Spain. And this is like the Spain squad isn't as good as how it used to be. They just allow them to come on them. I think they're better than Germany. I think with Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes and Ruben Dias, I think you're always going to do better than Germany. But I think France are way too good with their quick attack, with the go-kart of Giroud and the F1 car of Benzema. I think, I think they'll win it easily. The group. Okay. Obviously, you think different. And then we both said Germany third, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then unlucky Hungary.
Unlucky. So we've finished the 6 groups, and we move on to picking 4 of the 6 third-place teams who are going to progress through, which is not something I'm a huge fan of, the way this works, to be honest. I think it's kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card for some of the better teams that would otherwise, be shocks if they got knocked out. At the end of the day, even if they're in a group with Portugal and France, Germany, if they got knocked out, it's still a big shock.
Yeah.
So I kind of find it a bit annoying that they've basically just been handed a second chance to get through.
It just feels unfair. They must have only done it because of the top 3 clubs, because they're losing revenue, aren't they? And so I just think whoever finishes third have just got in that group, obviously. But does it work off points? Is it who has the most points? So maybe Germany might not, or they might not be the highest one. Now I'm just going to, because I'm looking at here, it says make sure you've selected the third place team in each group, the best third place team. So I'm just going to pick the teams who are the best. I'm not sure who's going to get the points. So I think the first one's going to be Germany, obviously. Like we said, they've just been put in a bad group. And then second, Croatia. I think I'll put Croatia second. It's quite hard. It's just because you need to look at the groups and see what points they would get, and then it's just how they've done it. It's so weird. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So who would you put?
I'm going to agree with you on that.
You put Croatia second.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Sorry, who was it you put first again?
Germany. Go Germany first.
Germany first, Croatia second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am in the same boat.
Austria? Oh. Wait, what's who's on? do you want to
I think
this is impossible.
I think to be fair, I think Russia is worth a shout because they're in a group with Finland. I think they should definitely beat Finland. And I could see Russia taking a draw with Denmark, and that's 4 points on the board there.
Yeah.
So it's possible, and then Austria. I could see them drawing with one of Netherlands or Ukraine, beating North Macedonia.
Yeah.
So that's who I'm going to say.
I think Russia and Austria. I'll say that.
Russia and Austria.
Yeah.
Right, round of 16 time. And of course, because of the different order we predicted some of the teams to be in, we're going to have slightly different ties here.
Yeah.
And of course, we're using the, in case you guys weren't aware, we're using the official UEFA tournament predictor.
Mm.
So we've got all the potential fixtures lined up.
Yeah. Who have you got first?
And my first one is Belgium versus Germany.
Yeah.
Which I think
I've got that as well, yeah. I think Belgium.
Yeah,
I think they.
I agree.
I think. I feel sorry for Germany, to be fair. I find it quite funny for them. They've been put in a terrible group, and then if they finish first in this third place ranking, they have to play Belgium straight away.
Yeah,
so
they've got a raw deal. But I don't massively rate Germany. They have, they certainly have plenty of quality throughout the squad, but the attack, is it going to be Timo Werner leading the line? He's certainly not coming off a good season.
Yeah.
And although I certainly like the fact that Thomas Muller's been brought back into the side, I don't think their defence is fantastic, and I just don't rate the coach. I just don't think Joachim Löw is in that elite level of international managers anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
So, Belgium to beat Germany for me.
Who have you got next then?
Right, round of 16. Now, of course, I predicted Italy to win their group, as you did.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I'm imagining here you've got Ukraine.
Yeah, I've got Ukraine.
Yeah, because I've got the Netherlands, because I predicted them to come second in that group. But I think
the answer
either way, we're probably going to say the same.
I go Italy.
Probably Italy either way.
Yeah.
They're a very good team, Italy.
Yeah. And I think
Right.
for you with the Netherlands, like you said, the manager isn't very good, and without Van Dijk, they're not going to win. And then for me with Ukraine, I think they're an all right team, but I think Italy will just overpower them easily. So that's a pretty easy one. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, I've got Portugal versus Russia.
I've got France versus Russia.
Right.
So
So I'm imagining both of us are backing Russia to not win this.
Yeah.
So in my case, I've got Portugal going through in that bracket. You've got France.
Yeah.
Next up is Scotland versus Poland.
I've got
this
that
is an
as
interesting one.
I think this is a proper interesting one because if I'm not wrong, Scotland are playing at home again, if I'm not wrong.
I think so, yeah.
They will be playing home again if they get through. But I think Lewandowski is just too good. I think having the best player in the world at the moment. But I think he should get Ballon d'Or. He should have got one last year. And then I think it would be completely unfair if he doesn't win it this year. And I think they will easily win this. Not easily win this. But even with the home advantage, I can see Poland beating Scotland.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. Although, that's gonna be one of the closest games I think in this whole, maybe even this whole tournament. Scotland versus Poland, it definitely one that could go either way. The home advantage is with Scotland. They've got some talented players in the team, and I could see them pulling that off. But I'm going to agree with you and go with Poland for that. Next up, Spain versus Austria.
I've got that as well.
Yeah, so pretty easy one
Spain
this time
again.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much more to say. Unlucky Austria.
Now, obviously, we have got France and Portugal swapped around in ours, but either way, it's England versus one of the tournament favourites.
Is it coming home?
And
I don't think so.
Whether it's Portugal or France, I just can't see us getting past them.
No.
France, the quality of their squad is just completely undeniable.
Yeah.
They're World Cup winners. Every position in the squad, you've got a top class or a world class player. And although we do have a really good squad, I'm just, every time I watch us play, I'm just not convinced. So, I'm going to go with France.
I just so wish
Portugal,
you never know. You never know with international football, but I just think both teams are just better than us, and I think that's obviously with the home advantage it might be different, but they are better than us, and so it's sad. We've just been put in a bad bracket, really.
Yeah, like we said to Germany, it's a raw deal.
Yeah,
and It's thing is because people would take this as a big failure, out in the round of 16. But when you come up against France or Portugal, how much can you really expect?
Yeah,
it's not the end of the world.
I think
if we went out here,
I think maybe Portugal we have a bit more of a chance.
Yeah, definitely. I would back us to beat Portugal more than France.
So I may slightly be disappointed, but with France I'll be like, touche.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've got a very interesting one here in Ukraine versus Croatia.
Oh, I've got Holland or Netherlands versus Croatia.
Yeah.
What? You go for your one first.
I think the outcome could be different for each of those games because I'd kind of back Ukraine here. We talked about Croatia before. They're not filling me with a whole lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And Ukraine, they've got an exciting squad. They've got a good attack, and I could see them doing the job on Croatia.
It's even possible. Yeah, I think their team is a lot younger. I can see.
Yeah.
They're a lot more hungrier than Croatia. I'm terrible with these puns. I should stop. But I forgot what I was saying though. I like you said, I think Ukraine will just want it more, and I think they're just better overall. They've got, especially like you were talking about before in the Ukrainian league. I think there's just players in there. Same with like the Croatian league, where players that not many people have heard of, but can do a job. But I just think, I think Ukraine will just want it more. Yeah. And then for my one, I've got the Netherlands versus Croatia. I think, even though we were making fun of Netherlands at the start, saying they have a bad manager and everything, I still think they'll be Croatia. Saying Croatia, the third place team, and Netherlands have a better team than them, no doubt. So yeah, it's a simple one for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Netherlands would... I think it'd be a close game. Either way, Ukraine, Netherlands versus Croatia, either one of them, it would be a close game. And obviously wouldn't shock me at all to see Croatia
that's the problem with guessing with this. Because who knows, on the day, maybe, I know for Ukraine, maybe all their players, not all their players, but like their good players get injured in knockout stages. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Anything can happen. Maybe with Italy, anything can happen. England's Harry Kane scores an hat-trick.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
you just can't guess it.
You just never know.
You have to just guess what the best players are and what best people are. So we should have one last one.
Right. I've got Turkey versus Denmark here.
Yeah, I've got that as well.
That's the same for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, although I like this Denmark team, I also like this Turkey team a lot, and I'm gonna say Turkey to make it through to the quarterfinals.
This one is so close. It's actually amazing. This game, if it happens, I think this game will be brilliant.
Yeah.
Because I really like Robert Skov. He plays left back for Denmark, doesn't he? I think he plays left back for Denmark.
And he can play all over the place, can't he?
He plays
left back.
When England played, he played left back. And he just offers so much. And obviously you have Christian Eriksen. But then on the other side for Turkey, you have some class. But I think this one, it could go anyway. But I'll go with Turkey as well. I think Turkey maybe have like more of the good players compared to Denmark. I don't know. It's a hard one, but I think that one's the closest that we've come so far. That's a very good one.
100%.
Okay.
That and Scotland versus Poland. Right, quarterfinals.
Which ones?
We've got a bit of a blockbuster tie, I think, to start to kick things off with Belgium versus Italy.
Yeah.
And although Belgium are obviously a really good team, I think Italy have a much more well-rounded squad. Like, although Belgium have Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, Eden Hazard, as bad as he's been the last couple of years, he's still Eden Hazard, and he still tends to play very well for his national team. But their defence is basically still Vertonghen, Alderweireld, and like Thomas van Malen is still in there.
Isn't he in the Japanese league?
Yeah,
and he's still,
like, what is going on there?
Yeah. There's Denier, isn't there, who could possibly play, but he's like, they're so top heavy of a team.
Yeah, they really are. And even in the midfield, like, other than Kevin De Bruyne, it's not a fantastic. It never really has been an area of strength for them. Like, Marouane Fellaini used to start even in their prime golden generation days, and now it's like we certainly know plenty about Leander Dendoncker, and he's not had a good season.
Arsenal signing instead of Neves. He's a Belgian international.
Please do. But yeah, Italy, I think the whole of Italy's squad is just strong.
Yeah,
we've got Donnarumma in goal, defense, Bonucci, Chiellini, Romagnoli. Their fullbacks are probably their weakest area.
Yeah,
Florenzi and Spinazzola, I think, probably which is not sensational, but it's also not bad. And then their midfield, I actually think, is maybe the best midfield in the whole tournament. Barella, Verratti, and Locatelli are three amazing players. Locatelli is kind of an under the radar one, but his performances this season in Serie A have been
Very good.
sensational. And their attack, Chiesa, Immobile, Insigne, and you know, the likes of Belotti backing them up, Berardi. I just think it's a great team, and the Don in charge of it all, Roberto Mancini. I think Italy have got this one.
Even though I was making fun of Belgium at the start, I do think Belgium will win this. I think now that even though Italy are very well-rounded, I just see Lukaku having the better of the older defenders of Bonucci and Chiellini. Mm-hmm. I feel like he'll have, even though he doesn't have a first touch, well, he does now, not Man United. But I just think he'll have the strength on him, he'll have the speed on him, and I think he'll just dominate them. And then I don't know, it is a very tight one, but I think I'll go with Belgium.
Okay.
Yeah, Belgium. I'll go with Belgium. Yeah, I don't know why.
All right. Right. The second quarterfinal. For me, this is Portugal versus Poland.
I've got Portugal versus Spain for Iberian. Iberian derby. Iberian derby. Yeah. I'll bottle that. No, this will be a good game for me. Yours was, you say Portugal versus Poland?
Yeah, mine. I've got Portugal versus Poland, which I think is a pretty comfortable win for Portugal. Yeah. So the first semi-final I've got locked in is Italy versus Portugal, which is going to be tight.
Now mine, Spain versus Portugal. This is a very good match as well.
Yeah.
Trying to think, because if they didn't have Laporte, I would have said Portugal, because I think their defence is way better. No, Portugal's attack is better than Spain's defence, but with adding them Laporte, I think it just gives them more structure. Because if they didn't have Sergio Ramos, who would they have to play in centre-back?
Yeah, that's true.
No clue. So I think, and him has made it a big difference. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a very good one. What would you say? Obviously, you don't have this one, but I need a second opinion.
Yeah, I think Spain versus Portugal, it is a tough one. I think I would just have to back Portugal that little bit more. I just think if you look at the individual players and you look at defence versus defence and attack versus attack, Portugal just have it, in my opinion.
I guess Spain's attack is very poor, isn't it? Like we talked about before.
Yeah, it's their weakest area, and you know, Portugal have such a good defence. I struggle to see Spain really being able to break through that.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other end, Portugal, Ronaldo, he's just going to turn up at some point in this tournament, isn't he? And he's just going to have a game or two where he just explodes into life. He's not quite the player he once was, but he will.
Yeah.
At some point in this tournament, he will turn it on, and it could be in that one, like just like he did at the World Cup when they played each other in the group stage, and he scored a hat trick. So I'd have to back Portugal.
I think you're right as well. With looking at just like, because think about it. I talked about it before. Portugal versus Spain recently. Spain dominated them. But was that Portugal not trying? And then, because obviously Spain played a very good first team, and Portugal maybe it wasn't very good, but it's Portugal's team, even with like the backups they have, is world class.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll go with Portugal. I think that'll be a very good one. Hopefully that's another game as well. Yeah, I'll go Portugal.
Right.
What's the next one for you?
For me, the next one is Spain versus France. Now, we've already talked about Spain a little bit.
Yeah.
France, I think Spain versus Portugal is closer than Spain versus France. I definitely would see France coming away with this win. I mean, to be honest, I just can't picture anybody who could genuinely beat this France team. So, Spain, they'll put up a good fight and it would be a good game, I think, but France will definitely come away in that scenario.
My one
with the win.
is France v Poland. And I think this is an obvious one as well.
That's not too hard.
I think Lewandowski will go through. Go on, Poland! No. France. Easily.
Yeah. Right.
then-
Final one.
Do we have the same one?
For me, this is Ukraine versus Turkey.
I have Holland versus Netherlands versus Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I actually think in either of those scenarios, I think I'd back Turkey.
Yeah.
I've spoken a lot about how much I like this Ukraine team, but there is a limit to how far they can go. And Turkey, they're just really well drilled, solid team, really, really good base, and I think they would comfortably have enough to keep out Ukraine and get through. So, on my end, I'd definitely back Turkey. And against the Netherlands,
I think
again,
it's a lot closer than Ukraine, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just
Definitely.
think, like you said, they are just so well-rounded in every position. And they seem like well-drilled. Whenever they watch them, everybody knows what they're doing. And maybe with Holland under a poor manager, I think Turkey will just have the structure to beat them. Maybe like a very close game, like a 1-0 or 2-1. I think Turkey are underdogs here. I really like them. So, yeah.
Turkey through to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So what are your
right.
matchups? The last two matchups?
My semi-finals are Italy versus Portugal and France versus Turkey.
Oh. Mine are France versus Belgium and then Turkey versus Portugal. So
This is spicy either way.
you do your one first.
Right, we'll start with Italy versus Portugal, which it's a. To be honest, I could see it being a fairly boring game.
Yeah.
Two very well drilled teams. Two very good defences. Italy would dominate possession wise. They do quite like to play a possession based game. But Portugal are more than happy to soak up that.
Yeah.
And just hit you on the break over and over again. And Ronaldo, Jota up against the Italy defence, I think they have the advantage. So as much as I really like this Italy team, I will back Portugal.
Yeah. I think with my Portugal,
it's Italy. I think Italy are one of the dark horses of this tournament.
Yeah.
And if any team is going to pull out like a shock tournament win, I think it would be Italy. But I just don't think they quite have it.
No. With my Portugal matchup, it's Portugal versus Turkey. And I think this is probably an easy one to guess. I think Turkey are... I think, like you said with Italy, I think Turkey are very good underdogs for it as well. I think people forget how good they actually are. That Zeki Celik, I had him on my West Ham when we played the FM Crew mode. Brilliant. West Ham legends.
Yeah.
I think people just underappreciate him so much for how well they've done and how important he was to that team. But again, it's Portugal. They have Ronaldo. In semi-finals, finals, he shows up all the time. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty comfortable one for me. With Portugal going through to the final. And then, what's your last one?
My other one is France versus Turkey. I think, we've said some very nice things about Turkey, but this is going to be a bit of a wash. Although I think Turkey, I seem to remember them having a friendly against France a year or two ago and coming away very strongly in it. So, look, you never know. You really never know. But you have to back France in this situation. And so...
And then for my last
France
one,
and Portugal are
I think
repeat
most people want to see this is the final. It's France versus Belgium. Well, no, I want to see England win it. But France versus Belgium, which I think France are going to win it. I think the French squad is just too good. And even though the Belgium are ranked first, which I think is a bit iffy, per se, because their golden age is slowly going away.
Yeah.
This is probably the last year. Maybe next year as well, because it's a bit different in the World Cup. It's like 1 year away. But yeah, I think France. easily.
Yeah,
Well, not
I mean,
easily.
I could see in that game, Mbappe, Griezmann, just honestly running riot through that Belgian defence, which Roberto Martinez in charge was never particularly known for his side's defensive skills. So, yeah, I could really see France just tearing through them a little bit there. Might even get a little humiliating. But yeah,
Another
either
final.
way, we've got to it in different ways, but we have agreed on the final.
Yeah.
Portugal versus France.
Repeat?
Euro 2016 repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, will it be a repeat of the result? Because I think when Portugal got to it 5 years ago, that was a big shock. People were not back in Portugal back then, and their squad was so much worse than it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, the likes of the guy who scored in the final, Eder, he's not getting near this squad.
Yeah.
So it's the Portugal squad is so much better, but the France squad is a lot better as well.
Yeah.
All these youngsters who've really started to blossom. Of course, Kylian Mbappe was not part of that squad. Ousmane Dembele.
But there are a couple of people
I don't even know if N'Golo
aren't.
Kante was really irregular for France then.
But there are people who maybe dropped out of form since then.
Yeah,
Griezmann was one of the best strikers in the world
Griezmann's
then,
definitely
who's dropped off.
not on the
Lloris
same level.
has probably dropped off. And then
I mean, just like a slightly sideways shout.
Yeah.
I think probably Mike Maignan deserves to start for France ahead of Lloris.
because Lloris did terribly, and his team won the league.
Yeah,
I think that could be. Yeah. So maybe if he starts,
I don't think it will. I don't think it will happen. Lloris, I think, is the French captain.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine him being dropped. But I think just from an objective point of view, it might be the best decision.
But who we think we're going to win? Do you think it's going to be a repeat?
It's so tough to say.
Yeah. Because even in the final in 2016, Portugal were dominated, and they just got one quick goal, and every Patricio played out of his skin that game. So, would it be something like that, where we know Portugal are very good at just defending and then sneaking that one goal in and holding it, but are France too good? I am going to say France are too good. I think, even though a couple of their players have dropped off, was it N'Golo Kante and Paul Pogba, when playing with each other, have never lost for France?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a boost, isn't it? If they get to the final, I think they just complement each other so well. And then Kylian Mbappe, brilliant. Camavinga, would he start? I would say so.
I don't know if Camavinga's going.
Oh, he isn't.
No,
He played in the friendly,
Deschamps made
didn't
a couple of weird. Yeah, but he made a couple of weird selection choices in the midfield. I think Moussa Sissoko got in somehow, and Adrian Rabiot, who hasn't had the best season either, and Corentin Tolisso, who's been injured for most of the past 2 years.
Ooh.
But still, I think the starting 11 is so strong, and I think France are gonna have the hunger, because even though they won their most recent big tournament, they won the World Cup. This is such a grudge match. Like losing the 2016 Euros final 1-0 to an unfancied Portugal side on home turf in France was such a devastating blow for them. I think I think a lot of those players are still in the squad, and they're going to really come roaring into this with a lot of passion.
Yeah.
I'm going to back France.
Yeah.
I think France are going to get revenge, and they're going to win their second major tournament in a row. We're in an age of France in international football right now.
Definitely. And they can only get better, really.
I think they're going to take it.
They can get better.
Yeah.
But obviously, with all the predictions we've done, there's no... If I get it 100% right, you give me a 20, and then vice versa. But there's no way we get 100%.
That is a
right.
deal.
It's impossible. It's because even watching the final against the 2016 final, even watching that, people were like, "Oh, France are going to win this easily." First half, and then Eder, who that's his only ever goal for Portugal, scores a banger. He comes out of nowhere, so there's no way we're going to get it right. So don't hate on us if we all want England. We all want England to win it, but I don't think it'll happen.
It's just hard to see. I just can't see him beating France or Portugal.
So who do you think is going to be top goal scorer?
Yeah,
because most people, like I would say, Harry Kane won it last year. Well, not last year in the World Cup, but we've predicted, or I predicted, England. Or you predicted as well. Do not even get out of round 16. So it theoretically can't be him. Who would you say?
I think you have to partly go back and look at the groups. The groups is often where a lot of these guys pick up most of their goals. And in terms of like who's got the easiest group, who can score the most goals against in their group stage, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing Belgium in a group with Denmark, Russia and Finland, and I can see goals spewing out of Romelu Lukaku. And
I think that's a good shout.
I think Ciro Immobile might be a decent shout for it as well. Maybe, although the Netherlands aren't great, Memphis Depay still plays so well whenever he plays for them. So he's maybe a shout. Obviously, Ronaldo is up there. Yeah. Griezmann, Mbappe, maybe even Jota. He's got a great record for Portugal recently. And of course, Lewandowski is Lewandowski, so you can never count him out entirely.
For what I was thinking, for Robert Lewandowski, sorry to cut you off there, I've got him to go to the quarter-final. And the teams that he's playing, so obviously Spain, I can't see him doing much. But then Sweden, I can't see very good defenders. Then Slovakia.
Yeah.
So I can see him scoring a lot of goals there. And then in the round of 16, I've got him playing Scotland.
Yeah.
Which I can see him scoring in that as well. And then they're playing France, so he won't score there. But I'm gonna say him. I'm gonna say him because I think he's the best player in the world at the moment. So I'm gonna go him.
Right. So you've got Robert Lewandowski for Golden Boot winner. I've got Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we've talked about teams quite a lot, but who would you say is your dark horse for the whole tournament?
Looking at what I've put Turkey to get to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
So I think the two I would say are either Italy or Turkey. I think both of them can have a brilliant Euros. I would only say Turkey because I think Turkey are they're less talked about. They're definitely people are just writing them off. Nobody's even talking about them. So I'll go. It's in between those two, but because I've put Turkey to go to the semi-finals, it would make no sense if I said Italy.
Yeah.
So I would say Turkey.
Yeah. I've got the same. I've got both of them in the semi-finals, and Turkey are pretty unfancied. Getting to the semi-finals for them would be incredible.
Yeah.
So, Turkey, one of the best dark horses there. Italy, they are pretty unfancied because Italy have got a really poor record over the last few years, not even qualifying for the 2018 World Cup and 2016 Euros. I don't remember how they did, quarterfinals maybe. 2014 World Cup again. I can't remember that much. I do remember even going back to the 2010 World Cup. They went out in the group stage of that.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since Italy really impressed on the international stage, is what I'm getting at. So people aren't really paying much attention to them. Serie A as a league isn't as well regarded as it once was. So there aren't really many standout teams in Serie A. Certainly in European competition, when was the last time an Italian team really did well in the Champions League?
Ages ago.
It was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So
I think
it that makes it easier for people to ignore them a little bit.
Yeah.
So Italy are definitely pretty unfancy, and I think getting to the semi-finals would be a big achievement for them. So, and then in terms of teams who could outperform expectations in general, Denmark Ukraine, Poland getting to the quarterfinals would be great.
Yeah.
Scotland even getting out of the group, like having not been to a tournament since '96.
Yeah.
Getting out of their group and potentially a tie against Poland, which is winnable. So possibly even a quarterfinal for Scotland.
Yeah.
That would be pretty amazing.
I think there's no... Because it's all relative, isn't it? Because Turkey making the semi-finals, wow, that's very good. But Scotland making out of the group stage, wow.
Yeah.
So I think it's all just relative. I'll stick with Turkey because I think it's a better achievement. But there's just... It's what you love for Euros. It's so...
Yeah, exactly.
It's so much tighter because... we were talking about it today. It's not... Obviously, you can't change it because if all the best teams in the world were in the World Cup, there wouldn't be any like Oceania or not many in North America apart from Mexico and America. So then you have to have teams like Panama in it. You have to have Australia in it, who just sort of make the competition worse, don't they? But what's good about the Euros is that if anybody could do well, anybody just... apart from Finland and North Macedonia, anybody could have a shock. And Hungary, obviously, they're not could do anything. But it's what it's what we get excited about. And England have more of a chance of winning if we had a better group. Or not a better group, a better table thing. So
yeah, I do definitely hold out a lot of hope for still for England, even with that tough draw for the round of 16. There's still the chances there for us to potentially beat France or Portugal. Like if we could do that, that's a big statement of intent.
Yep.
And theoretically, we could come second in that group, and then that changes a lot of things.
Well, who would we play then? For a second, would that be Italy?
I believe it would be Poland.
Oh yeah, Poland,
because we've got Scotland finishing second, so it'd be that, which is a much more favourable matchup. But England-wise, I'm holding out a lot of hope for the World Cup next year.
Yeah,
I think
we can only get
as
better.
long as we get, and as long as we get a somewhat decent draw, then I think we can go very deep in that tournament. And we are an hour and 5 minutes into this podcast, and I think we're pretty much done. We have predicted the Euros in its entirety. France are going to win it in a repeat of the 2016 final, and they're going to get revenge, and either Lukaku or Lewandowski is going to be top scorers. Netherlands are going to flop, in my opinion, and Turkey and Italy are going to do better than expected.
Lovely.
And that's where we're going to end it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Tom, for joining me.
No problem.
And Jacob and Ewan, if you've made it this far, you are both unprofessional.
Thank you.
Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, just depending on what you're listening on now. And join our fantasy league for this Euros tournament. The link will be in the description along with the code.
It's an easy way to win £60. Do it.
It is.
Oh yeah, and also make sure to subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, they don't know who you are. There's random people in it, and you don't know who they are in it. So if you subscribe, then you'll win it. Because if you don't know who you are, then I was just give you the money. Well, it's not from my money, it's their money.
Exactly.
So good about being the best.
Well, Tom's just a big winner in this. So once again, subscribe, hit the like button. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.